The first item on our agenda is actually two items: a public hearing for a special use permit, as well as a site plan review of Upstate Cellular Networks, DBA Verizon Wireless, they built for a proposed telecommunication facility and associated equipment on property at 511 Higby Road. The way we're going to do this is the town attorney is going to take us through our town law regarding these facilities. And then we'll go to Verizon's attorney who will do a presentation to us, and then I will open the public hearing. Herb?
My name is Herb Cully. I'm the town attorney. We just thought that in order to expedite the public hearing, we might just give you some background as to the existing ordinance that governs this use. The town this year had amended the local law that regulated telecommunication facilities in the town. And now, specifically, if you're within 750 feet of a residential district or you're in a residential district, you kind of have a two-pronged test that you have to meet. You have to come before the board and obtain what's called a special use permit. And as well, the second aspect is you have to get a site plan approval. Those are two different things, but both are handled by this board. According to our ordinance, in order to get the special use permit, you have to participate in a public hearing, and that's what this is. This is a requirement of obtaining a special use permit that the board, before they make their determination, have an opportunity to get input from the residents as to whether or not they are in favor of this or whether or not they are opposed. The key portion of the special use permit as it relates to the input at the public hearing is whether or not this is compatible with the neighborhood. And I'm sure some of you are going to want to make some comments either in favor of that or in opposition. But that's what the public hearing as it relates to the special use permit is for. Now, to get the special use permit, the applicant has to jump through some hoops as set forth in our ordinance. Things that this board will be looking at is whether or not the cellular company is able to provide sufficient service absent having this tower. They have to show a need. They have to show that they're unable to co-locate this tower with another existing tower. They have to show that there isn't any existing building, pole, whatever, that they could tack this onto in order to alleviate the need of coming forward with this tower. And as well, they have to show what they're going to do in terms of foliage, landscaping, and buffer. And our ordinance says the goal is that this be aesthetically pleasing, and that the town board can request what they deem to be reasonable additional visual or aesthetic information. The criterion to deny relate to siting preferences, aesthetics, traffic, safety, and those are all set forth in our ordinance. But I do want to stress that under the law of the state of New York, these companies are utility companies, which affords them special treatment. And basically, the law is you can't just simply say, no, you can't have it, we don't like it. As I said, any utility company is afforded special treatment in the law, and absent some sufficient basis to come forward and deny, it's pretty difficult to deny these. But I would ask that anybody making any comments just identify yourself so that our secretary can keep the record of who you are, where you live, and set forth your comments. I think that the cellular company is going to come forward first.
Yes.
I think I'm going to move this because you guys can't see it. So maybe if I put it over there, would be better.
Any place is fine. We have one right here.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, good. All right, so you guys don't have to see it.
We have to see it. We have to see it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You want to put it this way, or? or easier for them to see.
Can you guys all see this?
Yeah,
It's hard to see, but
I can't see that
well,
far.
We're trying to get Brimmer's picture over there.
I'm kind of high.
My name is Rob Panache. I'm from the law firm Young Summer. Our firm represents Upstate Cellular Network, which is Verizon Wireless. Why are we here today? We're here asking for, as was stated, a special use permit and site plan approval for a cell tower that will be located it's in a planned development institutional district, which is, because we're 750 feet away from a residential zone, we are asking for both of those as was stated. Now, when you're looking at a cell tower, why do we need to put a cell tower? Because you see some in the community. You have to understand the way cell towers work is it's a site distance, it's a line sight. If the cell tower can't see you, it doesn't work. And that's why when you think about cell towers, they have to all connect. And I've heard some comments that, well, why does the tower have to be where the tower's got to be, and why does it have to be the height that it's going to be? So, here's our proposed location, right there. Sure, right now in this area there is adequate 3G coverage, but you've all seen the commercials. Verizon and everyone is trying to go with 4G, we call it limited term evolution, which allows for you to have your cell phone, your iPhones, your Samsung Galaxies. It allows you to have data speeds. Everyone wants, not everyone, most people want to have 4G and higher data speeds. So in this area right now, you can look. What this does, this is a propagation map. It's on there, but this is in color. The white shows you what it looks like with 4G coverages right now in this area. Right here. Higby Road, that's where the cell tower will be located. Right now there is some 3G coverage, but there is not 4G coverage. We go to the next slide, which is this one. With the Higby Road tower, okay, what the Higby Road tower will do is add all the green. Green is Higby Road, the new cell tower, if it goes where we want it to go and at the height we want it to go. Green. What it allows us to do is add 4G capability to this area, and it also connects with a few other cell towers. This one, it'll connect, and it will connect with one that's not on here. It's called the Litchfield site. It's about 2 miles south there. And the reason that you want cell towers to connect is that when you're on your cell phone and you're talking, or you're using something and you're driving, if the way it would work is you're driving along Higby Road, eventually you want to, Higby Road, you guys can see it. This way is probably better. So when you're driving down Higby, when you get to this area, it's going to automatically switch to the Washington Mills cell tower. It's called the switch. Automatically switches, it's a seamless switch. So that's what we're trying to propose here, is to allow for the 4G. Now, the reason it is where it's supposed to be, where we're asking for, is we have an RF engineer who's not here tonight, but could come in the future to go through more of the 4G and how it works. But there's coverage, which we're asking for, to make this area green, but also capacity. In this area, there's a lot of commercial development behind the property that doesn't have good coverage right now. With the new tower, it'll allow for the capacity. Capacity is not just coverage, there's already coverage for that area. But capacity allows extra coverage, because even if you're using, say, the Washington Mills tower right there, if there's too many people on that, it's not going to function efficiently. What are we proposing? So you guys can see. The site location, we're proposing a 145-foot monopole tower. It has 15 antennas, so it's a 3 arrays. It'll show 5 antennas on each side of the tower. So that essentially what will happen is those 3 antennas, or those 5 antennas each one, will actually connect to another tower. They have to see each other. We're also proposing below that 2 microwave dishes. The microwave dishes are, they do a couple of things, but one of the more important things it does is if you lose a landline, because when you make a phone call and you're not calling another cell phone, it'll go from your cell phone to the landline to that person's phone. And say, for instance, there's a storm and somehow you lose a landline. If you lose a landline, the microwave dish is on the Higby Road site. will then talk to the Washington Mills site if they still have a landline, and then the microwave dish will talk to it, and then the call will be made. And if it's not at say if Washington Mills doesn't have a landline, it'll then switch to one that does. So that's the point of the microwave dish. Why do we need a 145-foot tower? So that all the cell towers can talk to each other. And also to meet some of the needs that the telecom law has. You're supposed to have a tower. Once you build a tower, most towns want you to have one tower in that area, and then you add AT&T, Sprint onto that same tower. So that's why you have 140-foot by 45-foot tower, so that it'll meet our needs, but that it also hopefully meet the needs of AT&T and Sprint in the future. As also was pointed out, we are supposed to consider alternatives. One of the first alternatives you would consider are other existing structures. Right there is the water tank. The water tank is only 40 feet high, and if you look, it's below the trees, so it's not going to work. If it's below the trees, cell towers won't work because they have to see each other. And just to give you an idea, with the Higby Road site, if this was used, it wouldn't cover everything. It wouldn't connect to the other cell towers, and you would eventually have to put another cell tower over there. So it wouldn't fit the needs of Verizon. We also looked at, when you're looking here, you want to look at other cell towers. Let's put this one back up. You don't have to look at the green, but just to give you an idea. We looked at co-locating on existing towers, but the existing towers are already ours in this area. There's also another tower over here in that area by the lake that is it's owned by a third party. We looked at it. It's in the application. Again, that tower would require us to put a tower there and still put a tower in this area. So that's the general communications tower.
Yeah.
How far? It's about 2.5 miles. 2 miles. About 2 miles south. It's probably right in that purple area right there.
Oh, what's the street?
Mohawk Street?
Is it Mohawk?
Let me check. Sorry.
Near Mohawk and Mallory? Or?
Hold on 1 second. I can't remember the name of the street.
It's got to be further down. Probably Sections.
I didn't even know there was a lake
So we have
Charter Communications is 2.7 miles east. Do not have the street.
County
names
Route, it looks like it's off of County Route, could it be County Route 86?
They can take those.
We can get that information for you.
Okay, no problem.
There was a guy that contacted me.
So those, we looked there, those were the existing structures that we were, that we thought we might be able to look at. So we looked at those. I mean, honestly, the only one that Verizon's not on right now is the general communications tower. And if you look in your application, which is it's at tab 4. In the back, there's exhibits. The one that I've shown you with no coverage is exhibit 1. Let me get you the one with. It's exhibit 4. It's kind of small for everyone, but if you look, the general communications tower is right there. It's south, because we're looking right here. Here's Higby right there. The general communications tower wouldn't do us any good. So you see it right there.
You're effectively looking at a high point for purpose of putting a tower up?
Ed, we're going to get through this, please.
Yeah. So that was all I had on my presentation. I do want to point out today, which I believe you've already seen, we received comments from the Oneida County Department of Public Works. Just for the audience's information, they had some things that they wanted. They wanted a site distance evaluation of the proposed utility driveway for site distances. We will provide that. We don't have it yet. We will provide that. They have a concern about the turn radius that's in the driveway. They want to see what's there. We will provide that. We don't have that yet. And a couple of the other ones are minor points that are really, they will show those at the time they have to get a permit. It's the slope of the driveway has to be shown that it's not going to be going this way into the road. It's got to be that way so that the water drains away from the county road. But the two main points on this letter are site distance evaluation and that the that the turning radius on the road, because it is, it is a busy road right there, is 25 feet. We don't have that in the application, either of those two things, and we will provide those for you as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you. At this point, I will now open the public hearing and take comments. So as Herb indicated, if you please just stand and give us your name so Dory can have it in our minutes and make your comments.
What will this do to our property
I'm
value?
sorry, could you,
Jim Peters, 424 Higby Road. What will this do to our property values? First of all.
Hello.
there's not a, this isn't a given.
Okay.
We're looking for your comments if you're
All right,
concerned about.
that was one thing I was concerned
Yes.
with. And the other thing, how close to the water tower is this gonna be? I know where the water tower is. I can't figure out where this is going.
Do you have something with that?
Yeah, you can look at it in this one, it's hard to see. There's the tower, there's the water tank.
So it's on the other side of the tower?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Doctor.
You'll have to forgive me, I have a paralyzed vocal cord, and I can't talk very good. I'm Dr. Albert Shaheen, and I'm the closest property owner to this proposed tower. And I have been begging or hoping to get a tower in that area for the last 20 years. The cell phone reception up there is horrible. You can't go around the corner of Higby and Tilden without losing cell phone reception. My mother-in-law was a patient at Sitrin for a year in rehab, and it was impossible to call out or call in. Right now, my brother is a long-term patient at Sitrin in the assisted living. And he cannot be reached by phone. He can't call out, and I can't call in. Once in a while, a call will go through. So the need for cell phone reception in that area is imperative. We need it desperately. It isn't a question if we want it or we don't want it. Cell phones are a way of life today. Most young families aren't even putting regular phones in their house. They're using cell phones. I have a couple of buddies that live right across Higby Road. Same thing. Their cell phone reception is horrible. So this is a utility that demands to be serviced. To even consider this or even consider rejecting it is a mistake. If anything, we should do everything in our power to expedite and get this darn thing off the ground because we need it. A cell tower is not ugly. It looked like an Eiffel Tower on Higby Road. What's wrong with the Eiffel Tower? This is a miniature Eiffel Tower, except it won't have a lot of lights on it or people going up and down and out. So I strongly would urge approval of this project as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. Any further comments, please, Sid?
My name's Sid Perry. I've sent a letter to the board regarding this. How many people have you asked for this tower?
About how many people?
Because the search ring was very limited to the area, I believe there was 4 max that fell into the area that the RF engineer requested coverage.
Okay. And this is going to be, and I feel that the board is a little remiss in sending this letter out. They should have put the size of the tower in this letter.
The letter conforms with our law, Sid. That's what we
Okay, but it wouldn't
comply with the law.
I think you'd have had a lot more people here if you told them that there's going to be a 145-foot tower. The highest tree in this area is 80 foot. Now this tower is, I've got a letter that's going to be 500 feet from my property. And this is really going to devalue my property. I know we need a cell phone tower, but does it have to be there? Up the road it can be higher. Has anybody up there been located like this? There's a lot of property up there where it could be. But this is really going to affect the property up there. But I agree, we do need a cell phone, but not there. Because there's people bought $300,000 homes. They're gonna be seeing this thing right from their bedroom window. And one of these days, there's gonna be a light on there. There's gonna have to be a light on there, and it's gonna be blinking every night in your bedroom window. Because the FAA has got a beacon up the road there for Griffiths Air Force Base where these big old planes keep turning around, and they do touchdowns in Griffiths, and they're gonna be coming right over there, and they're gonna demand they put a light on that thing. And then you've got a big old blinking light going in your bedroom up there. And believe you me, it is gonna devalue the property. And a lot of people would have been here if that size of that tower would have been in this letter. Plus, it's gonna be on land that doesn't pay any taxes in New Hartford. They are gonna be getting a fee, a nice monthly fee. How much will the fee be from Verizon to the Sitrin home?
It's confidential. the amount.
It's confidential? Oh,
But-
it's confidential, okay. And they won't be paying taxes on that either.
But it's a
So here
service
we
line.
go again,
Station.
here we go
Service
again, the taxes
We're not gonna have
again.
interaction, Albert.
Here we go again, taxes in New Hartford again, taking it from us people that have been there for years. My family's been there since 1899 paying taxes. And here we go again. So I'm against it, I've said so in my letter, and I don't want to see it out there.
Thank you. Any further comments, please? Yes, sir.
Hi, Paul Bisaccia, 22 Augusta Drive. I live right down the road from the proposed site. My question is really for the board, the aesthetics. You know, there's Verizon's going to try to make this as aesthetically pleasing as possible. 140 odd, 150 odd feet with a microwave dish, et cetera, et cetera. We've all driven down the thruway. We've seen what they do for cell phone towers. Stick a couple of fake trees. It looks like a bad Christmas tree. So my concern is for you guys, think about it. If you were
$1,000 a month.
half a mile from this in your backyard, and I don't know where you guys live, but would you want to see that? That's my first concern. My second concern is, you know, all the small children in the area, especially in the Higby Hills area, and daycare facility at Sitrin as well. You know, what are the long-term ramifications of microwaves and radio waves and these frequencies? And we don't have to debate it or argue it here, but you know, I think you can do some of the research. There's definitely two sides, but I'm concerned about it. I have 3 small children, so
The
aesthetically,
federal legislation specifically states that our board is not
I know.
allowed to
I know.
consider
Your hands are tied.
microwaves or
I know.
anything such as that because there has been no proven
Right.
correlation.
right, I hear you. Thank you.
Unfortunately.
I know.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
unfortunate it hasn't been proven.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't consider
Yeah.
it. Any other, thank you. Any other comments, please? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Tony Batulo, 428 Higby Road. Couple questions. The primary purpose of a cell phone is to have voice communication. You're talking about data coverage. My cell phone works, I can talk to people at 428 Higby Road on my cell phone. So I don't need LTE. If there's adequate 3D coverage, I believe the board mentioned in the beginning that there has to be a need, or it has to meet an unmet need. And at this point, it seems like if you can make a call on your phone, then I don't know why we're even having this discussion. That's the first thing. There are 20 cell phone towers in a 4-mile radius from that location. So I don't know how, you know, it doesn't look like there's 20 on his map, so I'm sure there's other locations that can be considered. What else? 750 feet from the property. It seems to me that water tower is less than 750 feet from the home right across the street from Higby. So I guess I didn't measure it with a tape measure, but also Sitrin has several acres of property there. Were there alternate sites considered with, you know, on the Sitrin property if that's who you're dealing with? Put it in the back corner of their property. There's several unused pieces of parcels of land on their property that nobody would be able to see this tower from. I think that would probably come down to the fact that Verizon has to pave a much longer road than 20 feet or whatever it is from Higby Road. So that may be why they haven't considered other locations within the Sitrin property. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Any Anybody else? Yes, Rick?
Rick Sherman. I was a retired New Hartford police officer as of 2008. Currently now the highway superintendent with Town of New Hartford. For several years working in the car, confidential material was given over the cell phone on the way to a call. And several times personally when I was in a car going to that location, down Valley View, down Tilden, you lose your calls. Today we have a tower right on Tilden and probably 500 feet off at Higby. It's where our trucks, our antenna is for our trucks, our communications for the town. Several times, an ice storm or snowstorm, we lose power. We depend on cell phone coverage to talk to me, talk to my trucks, etc. I agree with the doctor that it is desperately needed up there. I don't know if this is the location, but definitely there's a cell tower needed up there. We lose coverage up there all the time. When you pull over the side of the road, if you have Bluetooth, etc., it's bad. And this is, I used it all the time.
Thank you, Rick. Any other comments, please? Yes, Rick?
Hi, Rick Wilson, Sitrin. Just to clarify, I'd like to note for the board that I get probably between 300 and 350 complaints a year. We turn over about 600 patients. They cannot use the phones. They do not work there. And you do lose communications, both on Tilden and coming down Higby at points. So I just soon get rid of those complaints on an annual basis.
Does Sitrin not have landlines?
Yeah, we can't use a cell phone.
Yeah, but there's landlines.
We have landlines, and I think as the doctor stated, most people today use cell phones. I think
Right.
everybody in this room probably has one. A lot of people don't have landlines at home, and when we get a patient in, they don't want to pay for a landline.
Well, there's
Repeat
still
the comments this way, please.
And that's where I get my complaints, because we do tell them there's a landline available. There's a cost to it, and they don't want to pay it.
Thank you, Rick. Any other comments, please? Yes.
Hi.
I couldn't see you,
Sorry, but my name is Dr. Rao. I have, my property is on 640 Higby Road. And my concern is about the effect on the property value. I understand the gentleman, the doctor here says that we can't afford to pay the landline, but it's going to affect on the people who are going to lose their property value.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Betty Kyle, 434 Higby Road, and I have to agree with Dr. Rao and the rest of the people that I'm concerned about my property value. I agree that cell phone coverage isn't the greatest up there, but I would like if Sitrin could maybe look at some other alternative to see place else to go, because I really don't want my property value to go down.
Thank you. Doctor?
I personally could not see how this is possibly to depreciate anybody's property. We have that water tank already been there for many, many years. And that's a disruption to the scenic view if you want to get picky. The reason, I'm sure, and I'm not an engineer, almost was going to be one, is this site is because right along the edge of Higby Road on that side, the ground is actually elevated. And their tower can then see the whole Sequoia Valley, which I'm sure allows for better function of the tower and more effective for transmission.
Thank you, Doctor.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Hearing everybody, there's definitely some good comments from everybody, but my concern here is the needs of the few outweighing the needs of the many here. 4 people that Verizon have come forth to this meeting with complaints about their cell phone coverage. 4, was it 4, right?
4?
4?
Oh, there
Four.
were more than
What was the
one.
question? Somebody
Sorry.
asked.
Before, somebody said how many people complained to you guys for the need, and you said 4.
Oh, no, that wasn't the question. It was how many people were approached.
For a cell tower.
Oh, for a cell tower, okay.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's such a small area. I have some data here about the other 20-odd towers, and there are 10 of them here within a 4-mile radius of that facility that are over 140 feet, that I think, I don't really know much about cell phone towers, but we should probably be able to use one of the other ones. Maybe the coverage might not be so good, but You know, the doctor also mentioned the water tower, but you can't see the water tower. It's below the tree line and it's covered, and it's not so much of an eyesore as the size of this tower that they're proposing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anybody? Going once? I'm going to close the public hearing now. Thank you all very much for coming. There will not be interaction between the board, the attorneys, and the public, just so we understand that at this stage of the game. Yes, let's go through, what do you want to go through here first?
No, I didn't know if you wanted him to respond to any of the comments. The other thing is, he was given a copy of the DOT submission. Are there additional documents that you intend to present?
Yes, we are going to present, the board with, and actually the Department of Public Works, with a site distance evaluation. A new site plan showing that 25-foot radius. And then, I guess there was a question before, the board had questioned about the visual.
Right. Are you going to present a buffering plan and something showing aesthetically?
Well, the question would be is, yes, what would you want us to show? We are going to do, before the next meeting, we can give you guys, we can do a balloon test.
Yeah.
What
we're talking about, and I'm sure everybody already knows this, I shouldn't have said it in that fashion, but in our ordinance, it says, in all events, facilities located in this residential area where the 750 feet, applicant must provide substantial foliage and landscaping within the vicinity of the tower, as well as landscape buffer areas in keeping with the goal of an aesthetically pleasing residential area. And I didn't see that per se in this application. And I think that their intent is that they want to go through the public hearing, then submit additional documentation, which I think you're going to need to see before you can decide whether or not you're going to give the special use permit. I think that's a component, and I don't think that's before us.
Okay.
Do you agree?
No, I do agree. We're going to do the visual. Absolutely.
Which was it the county? Who responded? The first ones that you were talking about were from the county?
Yeah, the county.
So we need to see the responses on those
as well.
I know in here you have these comparisons of looking at sites. Can we get just a summary of what sites you looked at and why?
Tab 4, yes, it's in tab 4.
It's there.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's.
Is it
were
4 or 5?
Yeah, I looked through this thing, but it's like looking at garbage.
Here's the sites of it. I know. Here's the sites, just so you can see. Washington Mills.
All right.
Litchfield Tower, East South Jefferson.
And then the private one.
And then the general communications. So those are the towers.
But do they tell us why those towers do not work?
Yes, that's what those type of.
Well, that's for co-location. Is that the same story you're referring to when it said they went to 4 different places to locate a tower?
No, there were, once we found out we couldn't go on a specific co-location, we looked elsewhere. Because it's as was said before, if you start here, then you go down, and then once you couldn't find a co-location site to go to, then you have to look in the M district, which there was nothing in the M district defined that was more than 2 miles away. So the next step was anywhere but residential, and then that's where we.
Wait, what's the M district?
Manufacturing district.
Okay. All right.
The other gentleman referred to 10 towers within a certain geographic area. Did you look at those 10 towers?
Possibly 10. I mean, there's 10 showing on here. We can add that to the list of things to show you what our RF engineer looked at, to show you what would work for this vicinity. I understand the idea of what the concern was, but in our the RF engineer, it's a circle. It tells us where they think that area of need is, and then within that circle, not all 10 towers are located within that circle. So the engineers already determined that some of these outside
only
towers.
4 are? Is that why you only showed the 4?
So there's 5 or 6.
Okay.
But they're not even in the search area itself.
So they're outside the search area, but we tried to see if they can work.
But within that circle, where other sites at Sitrin, for example, looked at it and see that this could be moved somewhere within the site and still meet the need.
Two things that actually the doctor has mentioned. It does, that area is higher. Where we're putting it is higher by 100 to 200 feet. So if you pushed it farther back away from, and put it closer to the facility, the tower would actually have to be higher. Maybe it would be further away. That's part one. And part two, Sitrin didn't want it back there for future development.
Could you put it on top of it? I just want to make sure, because I remember seeing this before, where these circles go, and that you can move within that area.
Yes, on page 10, there's actually a map. In section 4 of page 10, there is a map that shows alternative locations beyond the 750 buffer, and those specifically alternative locations are on the Sitrin property. And it shows that the elevation drops quite a bit, and that is why that we could not build in the area.
Put it on top of their building.
Again, it's too low.
Within the federal law, I just think we should get a list of some of the things that federal law does not allow us to consider.
All right.
If my memory on this is correct, and it very well could be not correct, property values may be something that we cannot consider, just like we can't consider the microwave effect. The board has to be responsible, because this company will not hesitate to take an Article 78 against us, which will cost taxpayers if we act arbitrarily and capriciously. So I want to make sure that what we're considering meets federal law as well as our state law as we get into the details of the site plan.
Can I make a comment?
Or anything? No. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Rob, we don't have a full board. In the instance at the next meeting, we do have a full board. Would you waive any objection to individuals who were not present at the public hearing voting on this? They're going to have an opportunity to read the comments in our...
I waive that.
You waive it? Okay. Would you note that? Yeah. He's waiving any objection to members of the board who were not here for the public hearing participating in the vote.
Dory, could you, just out of the minutes, send her what it is we're asking for, so we just have a list separate for the minutes, so that the clerk can see it, councilor can see it, so that we don't get off at two different tangents, and then make sure that if there's anything else we want, to make sure that we get it together. If we're gonna meet next week, maybe we could talk about this at that meeting. Or would you put that on that agenda?
Sure.
Anything else from other board members? Or I'd submit at this point that, yes.
Just the height, again, I know it has to be above the trees, right? What determines how far above the trees it has to be?
Two things. One is to meet the distance of the other towers, but two, to provide for other co-locators. Because if we have a tower that's just above the tree line, say if you did, I heard someone say there are 80 feet, say if you did a 100-foot tower, one, the trees are going to grow, there's a little bit of the issue, but two, then if someone else wants to come in for a tower, then AT&T can't go on the same tower, because they're going to be below the trees. So, you know, you could go, I guess we could check, we'd have to check with our RF engineer to see if you could, but it kind of puts you in a catch-22, because then when the next guy comes in, you can't use that existing tower anymore.
Which means they'll be asking for another tower.
Doesn't your line of sight also get blocked reaching down the lower part
Well,
of the
that's
hill?
why it's a little higher too, because you are on the hill. But yeah, so on that, but my point was, I don't know if we can go, so say if I'm just making a number up, we have to check with the RF. But if you went to 120, maybe we still meet our site distance. I'm not sure we do, but the RF person, we can provide more information with the view shed to show you that.
Okay, that would be good.
How seriously did you consider locations A and B? I'm on 4, this one. Yeah, it's in there.
What page is that again?
It's in your tab
Oh, okay.
4,
All right.
Second to last page.
next to it. Because there is a road that goes around there.
Those were the sites that were provided, and Sitrin did not would not accept those sites because it's in the middle of their property and it would hinder future development. Because what you're doing is if you look at the front page, if you look at the page before.
Oh, yeah, well, listen, I know that better than most people. About 6 weeks worth of it, daily. But,
Is your friend to this letter?
Yeah, no, it's referring to the letter, sorry. If you look at this letter, this is attached to the
Okay,
letter.
okay.
Sorry.
but what I want to know is what is the potential for that? None?
Yeah, they could do it, but Citrin doesn't want
Citrin
them
won't
to.
do it.
Okay, then I guess it's private property, then I don't. Yeah, I understand there's potential for developing
Yeah,
it.
they don't want them to do it.
We need, as we think that part of that was.
Who ends up making the determination of property?
I would see if that's part of
I
our.
think we're gonna find that the federal law prohibits that as a consideration. But I haven't looked at it in a long time, so.
Okay, well,
So we're gonna find that out. We're gonna
could we
find
find
that.
that
Yes,
out?
we're gonna find
That's
that.
part of my question. This is this one, right?
Over a long
So until we receive these additional items, we will view this application as not being yet complete as far as any approval on the site plan aspect.
Okay.
The law's been met with a public hearing, and that's been done, and it's done. And then we're gonna get this additional information, we're gonna get the plans, the site view, and all the stuff we've been
Yeah,
talking about.
I have it down as 3 things. DPW, respond to DPW, which will be
Yes.
2 things. Which is the site plan, which is we're modifying the site plan to show the 25-foot radius that they asked for, and also showing the site distance from the road, so that there's an analysis that they want to see. The view shed analysis, which you saw, talking about the buffering, how we meet that, and then 3 alternatives to Sitrin. Which you,
And the height things,
yes.
we talked about
That was,
that.
I'm sorry, that was in there, sorry.
Drop zone,
Drop zone has to be considered.
We meet the drop zone, even if our setbacks, which are shown on the, on this page right
The
there.
red one, yeah, okay.
No, I'm sorry, you're looking at this plan. It meets it, if the tower drops, a
Okay,
140-foot tower,
Okay,
we're 227 feet, tower's 145, wherever, if it did drop, it would drop on,
is this Higby Road?
no, Higby Road,
Okay,
so it's more than 260 feet away.
okay. So it really is a little further from Higby Road than me. And then the water tower is down here. Okay, right here.
Anything else?
Yeah, because I remember when we discussed this about a previous situation, that we had to think about all these things.
Well, that's why we're gonna go through the federal law, once we
Yeah.
get the submission completed, make sure if the submission complies with the federal law requirements, what it is, we have to comply with in the federal law, the New York State requirements as a utility, and then deal with the actual site plan issues. And so you'll get us that visual as well.
do you want to tell him how many days prior to the next meeting, when the next meeting is, that everything
We're
has to
still
be in?
we're not quite sure on the next meeting,
Okay.
because the next meeting falls on a holiday, and we're gonna have to see when this room is available. I'm thinking that it's gonna be on Tuesday, what is it?
October 15th.
Tuesday, October 15th. We'd like the submittals, if you can, as soon as you can get them in.
Okay.
If you're looking to get on that particular
All right.
agenda. What's our thing, Lori?
10 working days.
10 business days prior to that date. If it comes in after that, it will not be on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
And if we come up with anything, when we're having a staff meeting next week, we'll let you know if there's anything additional.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.